You might believe that success depends on luck, on talent, or on that rare spark of inspiration. But the truth is far more brutal. Success belongs only to those who can force their minds into discipline. Most people think they need to wait for the right moment, for motivation to arrive, for the perfect state to appear. Yet the real winners know this: motivation is created by discipline, not by waiting. Picture this: two people wake up on the same morning. The first opens his eyes, checks his phone, and tells himself he will start later. 10 minutes become 30. 30 minutes become a wasted day. His goals are once again postponed until tomorrow. The second man wakes up feeling no different. He is tired, tempted to stay in bed, eager to avoid the weight of responsibility. But he acts anyway. He forces himself to rise. He forces his body to move. That is the difference. One man lets his feelings control his actions, while the other uses discipline to control his feelings. The outcomes are inevitable. In a few years, their paths will no longer even resemble each other. Napoleon Hill declared, "Success will not wait for anyone. It only follows those who are prepared." And preparation is not knowledge, it is discipline. You don't need another book. You don't need a brand new method. What you need is the power to force yourself to do what must be done, right now. Success is never dreamed into existence. It is disciplined into existence. So today, shift your focus away from fantasy and into fact. Shift your energy away from wishing and into action. I will take you down a path, harsh but real. When you force your mind into discipline, you force destiny itself to obey. While others hesitate, wait, or give up, you will create your reality with discipline. Ask yourself this: if starting today you could truly master your thoughts and your actions, no longer ruled by distraction or laziness, how would your life change? 5 years from now, would you thank yourself for this decision? 10 years from now, would you celebrate the moment you learned to force your mind into discipline? This is the promise of this lesson. You will learn how to discipline your mind so it no longer serves as an excuse for delay but as an engine for success. If you listen to the end and take action, you will no longer drift among the majority. You will stand among the rare few who use discipline to create wealth, achievement, and freedom. Now the choice is yours. Will you keep waiting for motivation, or will you become the one who creates it through discipline? Every day begins with a promise. You wake up telling yourself, "Today will be different. Today I will focus. Today I will finally make progress." But by the time the sun sets, nothing has changed. The promise has dissolved into the same cycle of delay, distraction, and quiet regret. You fall asleep repeating the same thought: "Tomorrow, I will start." But tomorrow comes, and the pattern repeats. Days blur into weeks. Weeks into months. And when you glance back, a year is gone. A year filled with unfinished plans, abandoned goals, and excuses that no longer even convince yourself. The cost of this cycle is not only wasted time, it is wasted life. Think about the opportunities that pass you by when discipline is absent. That business idea you once had, someone else has already launched it. That healthier, stronger body you envisioned, still only a dream, while your energy weakens. The relationships you could have strengthened remain neglected. Every missed day is not neutral. It is a withdrawal from the bank of your potential. Napoleon Hill called this drifting, the state of moving without purpose, carried by the currents of circumstance. A drifter does not decide. A drifter reacts. And the price of drifting is always paid in regret. You know this feeling, the heavy weight in your chest when you realize that another chance has slipped away, that your life has been guided by comfort instead of commitment. The pain of an undisciplined life is subtle at first. It doesn't strike you with one great tragedy. It eats at you slowly, like rust on steel, like a leak in the foundation of a house. Each small compromise seems harmless, but together they collapse the structure of your dreams. Without discipline, desire becomes torture. Because you want the result, but you cannot command yourself to act. You dream of the outcome, but the bridge between here and there is missing. And each night, as you lie awake, the voice inside whispers, "You could have done more. You should have done more." That voice does not let you rest, because deep down, you know it is true. And yet, the world does not pause for your hesitation. While you delay, others act. While you drift, others move with direction. While you waste another day, others are building. The marketplace does not reward potential, it only rewards results. And results belong to those who practice daily discipline. So let this pain sink in. Feel the truth of what a life without discipline costs. It costs you your dreams, which remain forever out of reach. It costs you your confidence, which weakens with every broken promise to yourself. It costs you your future, because tomorrow is built on today's actions. If you keep living without discipline, you will wake up one day older but not wiser, surrounded by unfinished work and untapped opportunities. And regret will be the only companion left. This is why the pain of inaction must become your alarm clock. It must shake you awake and remind you, drifting is not neutral, it is destruction. Every undisciplined day steals from the person you were meant to become. So let the weight of this truth settle on your shoulders. Let it sting. Because only when the pain of staying the same is heavier than the pain of change will you finally choose discipline. And that choice will decide the future of your life. Napoleon Hill, the man whose words have shaped generations of achievers, spoke with unshakable clarity. Self-discipline is the master key to riches. This single principle runs like a golden thread through his entire philosophy. Without discipline, every other principle collapses. Desire remains wishful thinking. Faith turns into empty hope. Planning becomes paralysis. Action fades into excuses. Discipline is the hinge upon which all other virtues swing. Think for a moment about the world around you. The marketplace does not care about intentions. It does not reward those who dream but fail to act. It honors only those who discipline themselves long enough to turn desire into tangible results. This is why Hill insisted that discipline is not optional, it is the price of admission to success. He described discipline as the governor of the mind, the mechanism that decides whether thought becomes power or whether thought dissolves into smoke. You can picture it like a lens. Light is everywhere, but only when focused through a lens does it ignite fire. Your energy is scattered across distractions, temptations, emotions, and moods. Discipline is the lens that gathers those scattered rays into a single beam powerful enough to ignite achievement. Hill warned of a hidden enemy, what he called drifting. He described drifting as the silent killer of potential. Drifting is not just laziness. It is a state of surrender, where the mind follows impulses, moods, and the path of least resistance. The drifter postpones, indulges, and justifies. The disciplined individual, by contrast, chooses direction, imposes order, and creates momentum. Hill drew the line clearly. The drifter becomes a slave to circumstance, while the disciplined man becomes master of his fate. Why is discipline so central? Because life will test you at every step. Temptations will call louder than purpose. Comfort will whisper more persuasively than responsibility. Without discipline, you will surrender at the first sign of fatigue or doubt. With discipline, you continue forward even when your feelings rebel. He'll emphasize this distinction. Successful people act in spite of mood, while unsuccessful people act only when mood permits. Consider how this truth applies to any goal you hold. You want wealth? It requires disciplined saving, disciplined investing, disciplined study. You want influence? It requires disciplined communication, disciplined preparation, disciplined follow-through. You want freedom? It requires disciplined choices today that compound into liberty tomorrow. There is no freedom without discipline. Paradoxically, discipline itself is the pathway to freedom. Hill believed that discipline was not merely a tool but an identity. To discipline yourself is to declare, I am no longer a servant of impulse. I am the commander of my own destiny. This transformation does not occur in a single day, but each discipline choice is a brick laid in the construction of that identity. Over time, discipline ceases to feel like a burden. It becomes the structure within which your true self thrives. Think of the alternative. Without discipline, you drift. You allow moods to dictate action. You allow distraction to devour hours. You allow fear to paralyze opportunity. And eventually, you awaken to find that years have passed and your dreams remain untouched. Discipline is the dividing line between the few who build and the many who waste. Hill's philosophy calls you to stand with the few. So let Hill's words pierce you today. Self-discipline is the master key to riches. It is the doorway, the foundation, the cornerstone. Everything else rests upon it. Until you master yourself, you cannot master your circumstances. Until you impose order upon your mind, you cannot impose order upon your world. The mind is the battlefield, and discipline is the victory that opens every other door. Look closely at the lives around you and you will see two very different roads. One is the road of drifting, the path of the undisciplined. The other is the road of deliberate action, the path of the disciplined. Both roads begin at the same starting line, but they do not end in the same place. They lead to futures so far apart they might as well be different worlds. The drifter lives by impulse. He wakes when he feels like it, works when it seems convenient, quits when the effort becomes uncomfortable. His direction is determined not by purpose but by circumstance. If the weather is bad, his spirit is bad. If temptation appears, he surrenders without a fight. He has desires, yes, but no framework to pursue them. His energy is scattered, his plans half-finished, his promises broken even to himself. The disciplined individual is cut from another pattern. He also feels fatigue, boredom, and temptation, but he acts in spite of them. He sets his alarm and rises with it. He writes the plan and follows it. He identifies distractions and eliminates them. Where the drifter seeks excuses, the disciplined mind seeks execution. Where the drifter drifts into comfort, the disciplined man walks into discomfort willingly, knowing that discomfort is the birthplace of strength. Think of two students in the same class. One studies only when he feels inspired. He opens the book, reads a page, and then reaches for his phone. The hours dissolve into fragments, his progress negligible. The other sets a schedule and obeys it. He does not wait for inspiration, because he knows that inspiration is the child of discipline, not its parent. At the end of the semester, the difference is not luck or intelligence. It is discipline. He'll describe the drifter as a leaf carried by the wind, while the disciplined person is the sailor who masters the wind and directs the ship. The drifter tells himself he will begin tomorrow, but tomorrow never arrives. The disciplined person begins today, and because he begins, tomorrow is transformed. The wrong path is seductive because it feels easy in the moment. It promises comfort. It whispers, rest now, you can act later. But later becomes never. Each small surrender compounds into wasted years. The drifter never notices the full cost until it is too late, until his life is filled with missed chances and silent regret. The right path is harder at first but easier in the long run. The disciplined individual experiences the sting of effort in the moment, but the sweetness of achievement afterward. The drifter avoids the sting and receives the bitterness of regret. Every decision is a trade, discipline now or despair later. Those are the only options. Imagine two careers beginning side by side. Both individuals graduate with similar skills. The drifter changes jobs constantly, chasing novelty, avoiding hard projects, settling for mediocrity. The disciplined professional commits to growth, studies after hours, tackles challenges others avoid. 10 years later, one has authority, influence, and wealth, while the other remains at the starting line, blaming circumstance. The difference is not opportunity, it is discipline. The wrong path is also the crowded path. Most people walk it because it requires no conscious effort. It is the default of the mind when discipline is absent. And that is why success is rare. The disciplined road is narrow, but it is the only road that leads to mastery. So, examine yourself honestly. On which path are you walking today? Do your actions place you among the drifters, carried by impulse, comfort, and excuse? Or do they place you among the disciplined, who act by design, endure discomfort, and reap freedom? This choice is not made once in life. It is made daily, hourly, in every decision where you choose between comfort and growth. Napoleon Hill urged his readers to reject drifting at all costs, because drifting is death in slow motion. It is the gradual erosion of potential, the silent theft of destiny. Discipline, by contrast, is life in motion. It is the deliberate shaping of your future by the choices you command today. Discipline is not a mystery. It is not reserved for the gifted or the fortunate. It is a mechanism, a system that transforms thought into achievement through a simple but unbreakable chain of cause and effect. If you understand how the mechanism works, you can apply it to any area of life and produce results. Picture discipline as the track upon which the engine of your mind runs. A train, no matter how powerful, is useless without rails. Its energy scatters into the ground, its wheels spin without direction. The rails give shape to its power, guiding it toward a destination. Your desires are the engine, but without discipline, the rails, they will only spin and burn out. With discipline, the same energy carries you steadily toward your goals. Napoleon Hill emphasized this truth repeatedly. Thought is the beginning of all riches, but thought without discipline remains powerless. It is discipline that organizes thought into plans, and discipline that translates plans into action. The mechanism is clear. Desire produces vision, discipline creates structure, structure generates action, and action compounds into results. Break the chain of discipline, and nothing else survives. Consider the chain in practical terms. You desire financial freedom. The desire alone is a flame, but a flame without focus burns out quickly. Discipline channels that desire into specific steps: budgeting, saving, investing, studying. Each small step executed consistently builds momentum. Over time, momentum transforms into wealth. Without discipline, the desire flickers for a week, then vanishes with the next distraction. Discipline also functions as a filter. Life will bombard you with impulses. Check the phone, postpone the work, indulge the appetite, chase the trivial. Discipline filters these impulses and permits only those aligned with your vision to pass through. Without a filter, your energy leaks in 100 directions. With a filter, your energy flows like a river directed into a turbine, generating power. Think of discipline as the silent architect. Every action you repeat lays a brick. Without discipline, the bricks are scattered, and no structure rises. With discipline, the bricks align into walls, and the walls form a fortress strong enough to protect your future. Discipline turns random effort into lasting architecture. The cause and effect relationship is undeniable. Where there is discipline, results appear. Where discipline is absent, decay follows. A disciplined athlete trains when others rest, and performance is the inevitable effect. A disciplined student studies while others drift, and mastery is the inevitable effect. A disciplined entrepreneur acts consistently, and progress is the inevitable effect. Cause and effect, no exceptions. Discipline also liberates the mind from the tyranny of mood. Left unchecked, your feelings change with the weather, the news, the opinions of others. But discipline imposes order on chaos. It says, regardless of mood, the action will be taken. And once the action is taken, mood often changes in its wake. You no longer wait to feel ready, you act, and readiness follows. This reversal is one of the most powerful features of the mechanism. Some fear that discipline will strip life of spontaneity. In truth, discipline creates freedom. Without discipline, you are a prisoner of impulse, dragged in directions you did not choose. With discipline, you choose the boundaries within which freedom flourishes. The musician who disciplines himself to practice gains the freedom to create beauty at will. The writer who disciplines herself to write daily gains the freedom to express without struggle. Freedom is born from discipline. Napoleon Hill insisted that every failure can be traced to broken discipline, and every success to enforced discipline. This is not philosophy alone, it is the law of cause and effect. Plant seeds and water them daily, and growth is inevitable. Neglect them, and decay is inevitable. The mechanism of discipline is as natural as gravity. You are not punished for neglecting it, you are punished by the consequences of neglect. So see discipline not as a burden but as a machine working in your favor. It is the rail, the filter, the architect, the law of cause and effect. Once you understand it, you no longer ask whether you should act, you simply step onto the rails, trust the mechanism, and let the chain of cause and effect carry you to the results you once thought were out of reach. Understanding the necessity of discipline is not enough. Knowledge without execution is the favorite hobby of the drifter. To transform principle into power, you need a framework, a set of clear, repeatable steps that force the mind into discipline until it becomes your second nature. What follows are 5 steps you can apply immediately. They are simple in description but profound in effect. When practiced daily, they reshape your identity from someone who hopes into someone who produces. Step 1. Command the morning. Your day is won or lost before most people even open their eyes. If you wait until the world is loud, you have already surrendered control. The morning is the battlefield where you either impose discipline or drift into reaction. Commanding the morning begins with a fixed wake-up time, honored without negotiation. It is not about the hour on the clock, it is about the agreement with yourself. By rising at the time you set, you send a signal to your subconscious, I keep my word. Once awake, resist the pull of distraction. No phone, no idle scrolling, no aimless wandering. Instead, perform one small but deliberate ritual that anchors your day, write a goal, stretch your body, read a passage of wisdom. This ritual is not about its complexity but its consistency. It is the keystone habit that tells your mind, today, I will act with direction. Step 2. Tackle the hardest task first. Discipline strengthens when you face resistance head-on. Every day contains one task that carries disproportionate weight, the task you most want to avoid. It is the email you dread, the project you postpone, the conversation you fear. Most people push this task aside, telling themselves they will handle it later, only to find it haunting them all day. The disciplined path is to confront it first. By doing the hardest task first, you establish dominance over your day. The action produces a surge of momentum, and momentum multiplies across every other task. Fear shrinks, confidence grows, and your mind learns a vital lesson, I act, even when I do not feel like it. One decisive victory in the morning sets the tone for an entire day of productivity. Step 3. Build through small wins. Great achievements are not created in sudden bursts of inspiration but in the accumulation of countless small victories. Discipline is built like a wall, brick by brick. Each time you honor a commitment, no matter how small, you lay another brick. These bricks compound into an unshakable identity. Start with commitments so small they are almost impossible to break. 5 minutes of reading. 10 push-ups. Writing 1 page. The point is not the size of the action but the consistency of execution. Small wins create a feedback loop, action generates confidence, confidence fuels more action, and momentum grows. Over time, what was once difficult becomes effortless. The mountain of success is climbed not in leaps but in steady steps. Step 4. Eliminate distractions ruthlessly. The enemy of discipline is not ignorance but distraction. The world is engineered to steal your focus, endless notifications, seductive entertainment, constant noise. If you do not protect your environment, discipline will collapse under the weight of temptation. The solution is ruthless elimination. Identify your top 3 distractions and design barriers against them. If your phone derails your focus, put it in another room during work. If social media drains your time, install blockers. If your environment is chaotic, create a workspace that signals seriousness. Do not trust willpower alone, structure your surroundings so that discipline becomes the path of least resistance. Freedom is not found in having more options but in removing the wrong ones. Step 5. Automate discipline into habit. The highest form of discipline is not forcing yourself every day, it is designing your life so discipline becomes automatic. Habits are the silent engines of destiny. Once formed, they require no debate, no emotional negotiation. You simply act. To automate discipline, link new behaviors to existing routines. After brushing your teeth, review your goals. After your morning coffee, begin your hardest task. After work, spend 15 minutes learning a skill. By attaching actions to triggers already present in your day, you transform discipline from effort into instinct. Reinforce these habits with tracking. Mark a calendar, maintain a journal, or use a simple checklist. Each mark becomes a chain you refuse to break. The visual proof of progress motivates continuation. Soon, what was once difficult becomes automatic, and your identity shifts. You no longer struggle to be disciplined, you are disciplined. Bringing it together. These 5 steps: command the morning, tackle the hardest task, build through small wins, eliminate distractions, and automate discipline, form a cycle. The morning gives you control. Facing the hardest task gives you confidence. Small wins build momentum. Eliminating distractions protects your focus. Automating habits sustains the system. Together, they create an environment where discipline is no longer forced but lived. Discipline, Napoleon Hill reminded us, is not an event but a lifestyle. Apply these 5 steps daily and you will witness the compounding effect of discipline shaping your character, your results, and ultimately your destiny. Every pursuit of discipline eventually collides with resistance. You may master the morning, face your hardest task, and design small wins, yet the world and your own impulses will test your resolve. These tests are not accidents, they are the proving grounds where discipline is forged. If you know the common forms of resistance and prepare counters in advance, you transform obstacles into training partners that strengthen your will. Temptation of comfort. The first and most persistent enemy is comfort. Comfort whispers in a soft voice, telling you that you deserve rest before effort, reward before labor, indulgence before achievement. Comfort is not evil in itself, but when it becomes the guiding principle of your actions, it chains you to mediocrity. Napoleon Hill warned that success demands payment in advance, and the payment is discipline. Confront comfort with deliberate discomfort. Each day, perform one act that stretches you beyond ease: a cold shower, an extra repetition, a longer period of focus. By practicing discomfort on your terms, you immunize yourself against comfort's pull. You teach your mind that growth lies outside the warm circle of habit. Distraction of noise. The second form of resistance is noise, the endless stream of information designed to fracture your attention. Notifications, messages, entertainment, gossip, each one steals seconds, and those seconds compound into hours. The danger is not the single interruption but the erosion of focus. Once your concentration is broken, it takes 20 minutes or more to rebuild. The undisciplined mind becomes a puppet to constant stimuli. Build a fortress of focus. Designate blocks of time where all distractions are silenced. Turn off notifications, close irrelevant tabs, place your phone in another room. Protect these blocks as if they were sacred appointments with your future. Hill insisted that concentration of effort is a law of success. By guarding your focus, you align with that law. Fear of failure. The third resistance is fear. Fear convinces you that it is safer to delay than to act, safer to prepare endlessly than to risk imperfection. Fear paralyzes, disguising itself as caution or prudence. Yet Hill identified fear, especially the fear of criticism and the fear of poverty, as the greatest enemies of progress. Fear feeds drifting because in hesitation, time is lost, and in lost time, opportunity vanishes. Counter, meet fear with immediate action. Use the 5-second rule. When you sense hesitation, count down from 5 and move before your brain constructs excuses. Action is the antidote to fear. Each time you act in the presence of fear, you reduce its power. Over time, fear becomes not a signal to stop but a cue to advance. Fatigue of will. The fourth resistance arises from within, fatigue. Discipline consumes energy, and when willpower is exhausted, the path of least resistance becomes attractive. Fatigue whispers, "You have done enough today, tomorrow will be better." But tomorrow is rarely better if you surrender today. Counter, replace reliance on raw willpower with systems. Automate habits, create checklists, design routines. Systems remove decision fatigue and allow you to act without debate. Rest strategically, short breaks, proper sleep, and physical health are investments in tomorrow's discipline. Hill taught that efficiency is the intelligent use of energy. Discipline is not about endless strain but about sustainable strength. Influence of environment. The final form of resistance is environment. People around you, though well-meaning, may undermine your discipline. They may mock your routines, tempt you with distractions, or pull you back toward mediocrity. Hill emphasized the power of the mastermind alliance, warning that associating with the undisciplined will erode your own resolve. Counter, curate your environment with intention. Surround yourself with those who respect and practice discipline. If such people are scarce in your immediate circle, find them in books, lectures, or virtual communities. Protect your mind from negative influence and feed it with examples of strength. Your environment either multiplies your discipline or corrodes it, choose carefully. Bringing it together. Resistance is not a signal to quit but a signal that you are on the right path. Comfort, distraction, fear, fatigue, and negative influence are the common battles faced by anyone who seeks growth. The drifter interprets these as excuses to stop. The disciplined mind interprets them as training sessions. When you anticipate resistance and prepare counters, you rob the enemy of surprise. You become unshakable, because every temptation has an answer, every distraction has a barrier, every fear has an action, every fatigue has a system, every influence has a filter. Discipline is not the absence of resistance, it is mastery over resistance. Understanding the principles of discipline is the foundation, but structure is what transforms knowledge into consistent action. To force your mind into discipline, you must commit to a specific plan, one that is practical, progressive, and measurable. 30 days is long enough to rewire habits and short enough to feel achievable. Napoleon Hill often emphasized the power of definite plans carried out with persistence. What follows is a 30-day structure divided into 4 weeks, each building upon the last, creating momentum that compounds into a disciplined identity. Week 1, establish the foundation. The first week is not about grand achievements, it is about proving to yourself that you can keep a promise. Choose a wake-up time and honor it every day without exception. This single act of consistency will become the cornerstone of discipline. Alongside this, identify one small ritual to anchor your mornings: a journal entry, a passage of reading, or a short exercise routine. Keep it simple and repeat it daily. The goal is to tell your subconscious, "I am a person of order and consistency." At the end of each day, record whether you honored your commitments. These marks are not trivial, they are evidence of identity in formation. Week 2, confront resistance. In the second week, raise the standard. Continue your morning practice, but add the rule of hardest task first. Each day, before distractions multiply, choose one task that feels most uncomfortable and complete it. This action, though often resisted, sends a powerful signal: I act in spite of resistance. Track these victories. Write down the task you conquered and how you felt afterward. Over time, the record becomes proof that you are not controlled by comfort. Hill described persistence as the sustained effort necessary to induce faith. By consistently facing resistance, you build the faith that you can endure and succeed. Week 3, build momentum with small wins. Week 3 focuses on compounding effort through small, repeatable victories. Identify 2 or 3 habits you want to develop: reading, exercise, learning a skill, and start with minimal doses. 10 minutes of reading, 5 push-ups, 1 page of writing. These are not about intensity but about consistency. The key is chaining habits together. Link them to existing routines. After brushing your teeth, read. After lunch, write. After work, exercise. Track each small win. Every mark becomes a brick in the wall of discipline. By the end of week 3, the wall is visible. You can see progress, not as theory but as fact. Week 4, solidify and expand. The final week is about solidifying habits and tying them directly to your chief aim. Continue your morning ritual, hardest task, and small wins. Now, add reflection. Each night, write a short note connecting your actions to your long-term goal. Remind yourself why discipline matters. In this week, also begin curating your environment. Remove one major distraction permanently: an app, a habit, or an association that consistently pulls you off track. Replace it with an environment or alliance that supports discipline. Hill stressed the mastermind principle: surround yourself with influences that amplify your determination. By the end of 30 days, you will not be perfect, but you will be transformed. You will have a record of consistent mornings, victories over resistance, chains of small wins, and an environment aligned with your vision. The greatest reward is not the tasks themselves but the identity you have built. I am a disciplined person. The power of 30 days. Why 30 days? Because it is long enough to break patterns yet short enough to be within reach. It forces urgency without overwhelming. Each week delivers a new victory, and these victories accumulate into momentum. Momentum becomes confidence, and confidence becomes identity. Once identity is shaped, the struggle lessens, because you no longer debate whether to act, you simply act. Hill often wrote that action is the real measure of intelligence. This plan is action distilled into daily steps. Follow it, and you will discover that discipline is not a punishment but a liberation. In 30 days, you will not only force your mind into discipline, you will begin to desire discipline, because you will taste the freedom it creates. Discipline is the rail that gives direction to your power, the filter that protects your focus, and the habit that secures your destiny. In 30 days of deliberate practice, commanding your mornings, facing resistance, stacking small wins, and reshaping your environment, you can rewire your identity into one of order, persistence, and unstoppable momentum. Napoleon Hill declared that every achievement begins with discipline, and when you force your mind into it, success does not remain a distant dream but becomes the inevitable result of your daily choices. Repeat these words with conviction, for they are not just sentences but contracts with your future. I discipline my mind. I do not wait for feelings, I act on decisions. I command my mornings, I conquer resistance, I multiply small wins, and I protect my focus. Discipline is my identity, and through it, I attract success, wealth, and freedom into my life. Now the decision is yours. You have heard the principles, the plan, and the affirmations. The next step is not to wait, it is to declare. If you are ready to stop drifting and start building, write in the comments, discipline first. These 2 words are your public commitment, your signal that you refuse to let comfort or distraction dictate your life. Share your city and the time you are listening. Let this become a community of disciplined minds across the world, connected by the same decision to rise above hesitation. And if this message has struck something inside you, do not keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with a friend who needs discipline as much as you do, and subscribe so that you never miss the next principle that can change your life. Remember, engagement is not about algorithms, it is about reinforcement. Every time you write, share, or affirm, you carve the idea deeper into your identity. Discipline is forged in action, and this is your first action now. You have taken the first step into discipline, and with it, the doorway to success has opened. But this is only the beginning. Discipline is the root, yet focus is the fruit, and without focus, discipline scatters. In the next episode, we will dive into the secret of killing distraction before it kills your drive. You will learn how to guard your attention as fiercely as you guard your time, and how Napoleon Hill's principles turn focus into a weapon that multiplies results. So subscribe now, and turn on the notification bell. Do not let your next breakthrough depend on chance, let it arrive with certainty. The journey continues, and the next step could be the one that locks your future into unstoppable momentum.